Welcome to InCabin from the creators of AutoSense. InCabin connects the global community of automotive interior specialists working on in-cabin safety, comfort, and productivity solutions through industry-leading events and knowledge sharing. We're happy to welcome back a longtime member of the InCabin family, Javier Salado, product manager at Anyverse. And Javier, good to see you, friend.
Hi, Carl. Great to be here again. It's been a bunch of interviews that we've done together in this couple of years. So very glad to be here again.
Yeah. Tell us more about Anyverse. Tell us about some of the work that you're doing today.
Sure. Anyverse is a software company that has built a platform to generate synthetic data based on state-of-the-art rendering technology that allows us to simulate sensors of all kinds and generate data for our customers who are developing perception systems. And nowadays, we've seen in the last couple of years a lot of traction in the in-cabin market, and being a very controlled environment, that has helped us to actually adapt our technology for this specific use case of in-cabin and generate data for everything that tier ones, OEMs may need to train, validate the machine learning algorithms that are behind this perception systems that are starting to be mandatory to be mounted in cars, not only Europe, but in China and United States as well.
Javier, there's a question here in my notes that I wanted to make sure that I asked you, because I do think it's really important to the whole in-cabin landscape. But do you think that regulatory bodies can trust synthetic data when it comes to validating these in-cabin perception systems? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's a very good question. I absolutely think that they can trust synthetic data, but not only synthetic data. At the end of the day, I'm sure they're going to have to do some validation and some final testing with real data. But before you get to that final point, synthetic data can help validate the systems at different stages of the development process, from the tier twos that develop the algorithms, the tier ones that integrate those algorithms in a more complex system that include different types of sensors, to OEMs that finally mount the complete in-cabin sensing system in their vehicles. In every step of that way, you're going to need trustable data, varied data that will help you make sure that that system is resilient and is going to be compliant with all the regulations that have to comply to. And regulators can trust that the systems that are passed to them to do that final testing have been tested with data that is varied, of high quality, with very accurate ground truth, and that at the end of the day, the final testing is backed by exhaustive previous testing that, if you don't use synthetic data, would be very, very, very difficult to do.
We're speaking with Javier Salado, product manager at Anyverse. And Javier, how does Anyverse help in-cabin perception developers comply with regulations?
Well, actually, this year, we are launching a new application based on the Anyverse platform. I mentioned our core technology in the platform, our render. Well, on top of that platform, we have built a new vertical application specifically to help developers validate their in-cabin systems. This is a web application, which is something very new for us. Until today, we've always developed on-premise and heavy client applications for our platform. So it's the first web application which will allow our customers to very easily generate very powerful data sets to validate the perception system for different incoming use cases. And these use cases are based on what regulations demand, like child presence detection, driver monitoring system, and occupant monitoring system, which is something that is coming in the next couple of years. Euro NCAP, for example, is defining the occupant monitoring systems for the 2026 version of their test cases. And customers are going to be able to generate data for every single test case for all those use cases: child presence detection, driver monitoring system, occupant monitoring system. For example, the last one's occupant monitoring system, it's going to be mandatory to make sure that the monitoring system understand if the passenger is out of place, like putting the feet on top of the dashboards and things like this. Well, with this new application, with a few clicks, you will be able to say, okay, I want to generate 100 videos of a passenger putting the feet on the dashboard, and I want to apply all kinds of variability to that, like the passenger could be of different gender, ethnicities, ages, the illumination of the cabin will be different, and generate 100 videos of that with a couple clicks. Then those videos will be used to validate that the system under development understands when the passenger is out of place or not. And the same for other test cases of drivers looking at rear view mirrors or the back seats, losing the attention on the driving function. That is something that the system needs to understand, and that's something that the developers need data to validate that the systems are understanding all those situations. And now it can be very, very easily done with this new web application that implements all different types of cabins. If the customers require a specific cabin to run those tests, we will put that cabin on the system for them. We will place the different sensors in that cabin so they can have different perspectives. So they can validate their system from all those different perspectives, or decide if the sensors have to be in this or that position inside the cabin. And it's very simple to use. And I basically encourage all our viewers to drop by our booth at InCabin in Detroit this year and take a look, because we will be ready to show it to you.
We will also leave a link in the description to the Anyverse website as well. Javier, we're seeing more use cases, more in-cabin use cases around radar. Can you share your insights there? Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Yes. We've been hearing radar as one of the sensors for some use cases and in-cabin for some years now. But this last year has been like the explosion. Like everyone is starting to implement systems that use radar as the sensor for some specific functions that are very tricky if you use only cameras. And those are, for example, child presence detection, like when the children are behind blankets or hidden in the footwell of the back seats. You cannot use cameras unless you have more than one, more than two, maybe a bunch of different cameras pointing to the footwells from the rear and things like that. And that's very expensive. However, radars are cheap sensors, and they can be used for those particular use cases. With radar, you can detect the breathing of the children and even the other passengers too. So placing radars along with the cameras or the perception systems for in-cabin seems like a good idea, and it's what everybody's doing right now. So if you want to validate the systems for those functions that use radar, you need to simulate the radar. And that's what we've done. We've developed our radar simulation during this year and this last year. And we are happy to say that it's completely ready and it's completely integrated in the platform and available from this application that I mentioned before to generate data for to validate in-cabin systems. So you can place in the cabins available in the system cameras and radars along, and we can generate data at the same time for both sensors. So if you require to have some sensor fusion, you can do it with our synthetic data as well. We are very, very excited to actually start showing this to customers. We are working with some partners to validate our radar simulation because if you remember, we are very proud to say that our platform is physically correct using our hyperspectral render, and we're leveraging all that accuracy in the generation and the simulation to the radar as well. So we're working with partners to validate that this simulation can safely use to generate the synthetic data that the in-cabin systems require to be validated or even trained, if that's the case.
We're speaking with Javier Salado, product manager at Anyverse. Javier, always good to talk to you. I know we've done many interviews before, but I always look forward to the chance to speak with you again. So thank you for being here, part of our in-cabin family, for sharing your expertise and thought leadership. And I look forward to seeing you real soon here in Detroit, my friend.
Thank you very much, Carl. It's always a pleasure. And definitely, I'll see you in Detroit.
For more information on Anyverse and to find out more about our upcoming events, see the links in the description or visit InCabin.com. That's InCabin.com. And for more in-depth interviews like this, subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow InCabin on LinkedIn. In Detroit, on behalf of InCabin, I'm Carl Anthony.